It was supposed to be an ordinary morning at Maplewood Park, until something unbelievable happened. Parents froze mid-step, children stopped laughing, and even the carousel came to a slow, uneasy halt as 19 police dogs in full police dog harnesses suddenly broke formation. Without warning, the entire K-9 unit charged toward the playground, surrounding a tiny blonde girl in a pink pastel coat who had been standing quietly near the swings. No one dared to move. The girl clutched her worn-out teddy bear tighter as the dogs closed in, barking with a ferocity that sent shivers through the crowd. She stumbled back, eyes wide. "Please, please make them stop!" she cried. One officer, tall, stern, his badge glinting in the sunlight, stepped forward cautiously. "Sweetheart, we need to ask you a few questions, all right?" he said, voice firm but shaking. The little girl's face turned pale. I didn't do anything wrong," she whispered, trembling. But the dogs barked again. Maplewood City woke beneath a cool spring sun, its early morning light stretching across rooftops, benches, and the winding paths of Maplewood Park. A gentle breeze rolled in from the distant hills, carrying the scent of damp earth and freshly cut grass. Though the city was known for its quiet suburbs and calm, tree-lined streets, mornings here could be brisk and sharp, as if the season had not yet decided whether to embrace warmth or cling to the tail end of winter. Still, families loved it. The park had become the city's beating heart every weekend, drawing in parents, joggers, elderly couples, and excited children dragging colorful balloons that bobbed in the sunlight like drifting soap bubbles. That Saturday felt no different, at first. The playground buzzed with life. Children squealed as they slid down bright plastic slides, their sneakers kicking up wood chips. Carousel music played faintly in the background, its tinny melody joining the hum of chatter from picnic tables. Vendors pushed small carts, selling hot dogs, lemonades, and sugar-dusted funnel cakes. Dogs barked playfully as their owners tossed tennis balls beneath wide oak trees. Everything blended into the kind of cheerful chaos Maplewood Park was famous for. Standing near the park's main path were 19 German shepherds, each tall, muscular, and fitted with a black working harness stamped in bold white letters. Police dog. They moved with practiced precision, their paws landing in near-perfect rhythm. Their thick coats shone in the sunlight, mostly mixtures of black and tan, though a few bore darker saddle markings that made them look even more formidable. Among them was Rex, the largest and oldest, nearly 7 years of age. His face carried flecks of gray around the muzzle, giving him an air of wisdom. His amber eyes were sharp, expressive, and unsettlingly intelligent. To children, he appeared like a noble guardian from a storybook. To criminals, he was the last thing they ever wanted to see. Beside Rex walked Officer Mark Jensen, the leader of Maplewood Police Department's K-9 division. Mark was in his mid-30s, tall and broad-shouldered, with a square jaw, neatly trimmed stubble, and dark blonde hair cropped close to the sides. His skin was fair and lightly weathered from years of outdoor duty. Though he carried himself with confidence, his eyes revealed something gentler. An instinctive protectiveness developed from an incident years ago when he failed to save a lost child during a search call. Since then, he had devoted himself to training K-9s with unmatched discipline, believing dogs sensed danger in ways humans could not. Around him, junior officers followed with brisk, focused steps. One of them, Officer Jake Miller, was a lean young man with sandy brown hair and freckles across his nose. Jake's youthful grin often made nervous parents relax, though behind his cheerful demeanor, he carried heavy guilt from a past case involving a family he taught. couldn't help in time. Now he worked harder than anyone on the team, determined never to fall short again. The presence of the 19 police dogs caused a wave of excitement as families gathered to watch. Many thought the K-9 division was here for a fun demonstration, a public engagement event typical during spring festivals. Children waved at the dogs, some even clapped. Vendors leaned over their carts, smiling in admiration at the well-disciplined unit. Laughter rippled through the crowd when Rex, despite his stern posture, lifted his nose toward a hot dog stand and sniffed loudly, causing a group of kids to giggle and point. Near the playground stood Lily, a 4-year-old girl with soft blonde curls that shone almost silver in the sun. Her cheeks were rosy from the cool air, and she wore a fluffy pastel pink coat, zipped up to her chin. She held a worn-out teddy bear against her chest, its fabric faded from years of love. Lily was gentle, shy around strangers, and spoke softly, as if every word she uttered needed to be chosen carefully. By her side was her mother, Emily Parker, a striking woman in her early 30s. Emily had long, honey-blonde hair styled in loose waves, fair skin, and refined features that made her look like she had stepped out of a fashion magazine. She wore a bright crimson-red trench coat, cinched neatly at the waist, along with dark-heeled boots. Everything about her showed quiet elegance, but beneath her polished appearance was a woman worn thin by years of being overly cautious, always watching crowds from the corner of her eye. Losing her husband to a mysterious disappearance had reshaped her from carefree to hyper-aware. Still, she tried to give Lily moments of joy. Today's visit to the park was one of them. The K-9 demonstration began smoothly. Officers guided the dogs through basic obedience drills, formations, turns, sit-stays, controlled sprints across the grass. Families clapped at every impressive display, while camera phones rose like a forest of bright rectangles. Mark felt proud watching his unit perform flawlessly, Rex leading with deliberate precision. Then, everything changed. Rex halted mid-step, his ears snapping upward, the thick muscles along his shoulders stiffening. His gaze drifted, slow, focused, toward the playground. At first, Mark didn't notice. He was too busy coordinating the next command. But the subtle shift in Rex's breathing caught his attention. The dog lifted his nose, sniffed the air once, twice, then fixed his eyes on a small figure near the swing set. Lily. The little girl now stood alone, Emily having stepped aside toward a nearby trash bin to toss her empty coffee cup. Lily looked perfectly calm, rocking slightly on her heels while cuddling her teddy bear. But Rex saw something no human sensed. Mark's stomach tightened. "Rex? What is it, boy?" he murmured. Before he could react, the impossible happened. All 19 police dogs stopped moving. One after another, their heads turned toward Lily, muscles tensing like pulled wires. The families watching sensed something shift, though none understood what. Mark inhaled sharply, the cold air filling his lungs like ice. He issued a command out of instinct. "Hold formation!" But the dogs didn't listen. Not one. Instead, as if moved by a single share, Lily stood motionless beside the swing set, her small figure framed by the sunlight filtering through the tall maple trees. Her pastel pink coat seemed to glow against the grass, a soft burst of color in the stirring tension. She clutched her worn teddy bear tighter, its button eyes scratched from years of love, yet still staring blankly ahead, as if it too sensed something was wrong. At first, The gathering parents assumed the dog's movement was part of the show. After all, Maplewood Park often hosted community events, and the sight of 19 German shepherds might easily be mistaken and for a coordinated demonstration. One mother even lifted her phone, smiling nervously as she recorded, whispering to her husband that the performance must be the kind of surprise they do for kids. But the officers' expressions told a different story. No smiles, no relaxed shoulders, no nods of reassurance. Instead, their faces drained of color as the dogs broke formation. Rex moved first. The large, seasoned German shepherd stepped forward with purpose, his harness marked clearly with police dog shifting over the powerful muscles beneath his coat. His ears were rigid, nostrils flaring, eyes locked not on Lily herself, but on something invisible, something surrounding her. The remaining 18 dogs followed in near-perfect synchronization. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath their controlled steps. 19 shadows circled a single trembling child. Officer Mark Jensen's throat tightened. His instincts screamed danger, but the source remained elusive. He knew Rex, trusted Rex more than any other living partner, and so the dog's behavior carved fear into him sharper than any shout or siren. "Hold position!" Mark barked again, his voice cutting through the park's sudden silence. But the dogs ignored him. Their bodies tightened, tails leveled straight, creating a tense wall of fur and muscle between Lily and the rest of the world. The parents nearest the swings backed up quickly, pulling their children toward them. A little boy in a green jacket burst into tears, clinging to his father. A jogger with headphones slowed to a confused stop, unsure whether to run or freeze. Still, the canines did not look at Lily with aggression. They looked outward, scanning, guarding, as though expecting something to strike her at any moment. Rex approached Lily softly, lowering his head. His nose brushed the teddy bear tucked beneath her chin. The moment he touched it, the dog stiffened violently. A low growl rumbled in his chest, deep and primal, vibrating through his harness straps. His hackles rose like bristling spikes. Lily's lips quivered. "My bear. He's scared," she whispered, her young voice trembling. Mark felt something cold curl beneath his ribs. He took a step forward, keeping his tone steady. "Sweetheart, don't move. The dogs are keeping you safe." But Lily did not seem afraid of the dogs. She trusted them instinctively, just as children often trusted things pure of intention. She simply looked around, confused as chaos unfurled around her. Mark scanned the crowd, noting a few new faces inching closer. One of them was Mr. Howard Benson, a local park handyman in his late 50s. Short, stout, with a round face and a thick mustache peppered with gray. Howard was known for his gentle nature and slow, unhurried pace. His flannel shirt was faded, his jeans dusted with dirt from repairing benches earlier that morning. Though kind-hearted, Howard tended to panic easily. Ever since he lost a nephew in an accident years ago, he'd become overly protective of children in the park. Now he stood frozen, hands trembling, unsure whether to help or stay back. Another newcomer drifting toward the scene was Clara Reed, a young nanny in her mid-20s with light brown hair, tied in a messy bun and soft, freckled skin. Clara had a warm, motherly aura and often spent mornings guiding toddlers through playground games. Her nurturing personality stemmed from growing up as the eldest of 5 siblings. Seeing Lily trapped inside a circle of police dogs made her face pale with concern, though she respected enough not to interfere. Mark raised a hand in warning. "Please, everyone stay back. Do not cross the perimeter." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Rex let out another guttural growl, louder this time, and Lily took a tiny step backward. Her teddy bear wobbled in her hands, almost slipping. Instantly, several K9s shifted closer, their bodies forming a tighter shield. Officer Jake Miller moved beside Mark, trying to read Rex's body language. "Something's triggering them," Jake muttered, eyes darting. "But it's not the girl. Look, they're facing out." Mark nodded, feeling sweat gather beneath his collar. He scanned the park again. The picnic tables, the open fields, the hot dog stand releasing curls of steam. Nothing appeared dangerous, but Rex was never wrong. Suddenly, the leader of the pack snapped his head toward the side of the playground. His gaze locked onto a large green trash can positioned near the climbing frame. With a sharp bark, Rex bolted away from Lily. Two other dogs, Zephyr, a sleek 4-year-old with lightning-fast reflexes, and Bolt, a dark-coated muscular shepherd known for explosive detection, immediately followed him. The remaining 16 dogs stayed behind, circling Lily even more tightly, their stance rigid and unyielding. The crowd gasped as Rex lunged toward the trash can, claws scraping the concrete. Mark's heart hammered in his chest. Whatever Rex had sensed, it was near, very near. And the K9s were no longer just reacting. They were preparing for something. A threat hidden somewhere inside Maplewood Park. A threat only they could smell. And Lily, standing small and wide-eyed inside the ring of police dogs, appeared to be at the very center of it all. Rex did not attack the trash can. Instead, the seasoned German shepherd skidded to a halt beside it, sniffed twice, then snapped his head back toward Lily with an intensity that made every officer tense. His growl deepened, vibrating through the straps of his police dog harness. The other two dogs, Zephyr and Bolt, mirrored him, ears pinned forward, bodies rigid. Something about the little girl's teddy bear was wrong. The ordinary-looking toy dangled from Lily's trembling hands, its faded fur fluttering in the breeze. Lily, her golden curls framing her frightened face, looked up at Rex with wide, watery eyes. The pastel-pink coat she wore suddenly seemed far too thin for the weight of what was happening. Mark dropped into a kneel beside her, his boots scuffing the grass. "Lily," he said softly, "can you tell me who touched your bear?" His calm tone was practiced, but his pulse thudded in his throat. Lily clutched the bear tighter, as if afraid someone might snatch it away. "A man," she whispered. "He was sitting on the bench over there. He said my bear had a tear. He fixed it for me." She pointed a trembling finger toward a bench near the walking path. The bench was empty now. Mark followed Lily's gaze, scanning the nearby area. Officers jogged toward the spot. But whoever the man was, he was long gone. Emily arrived at Lily's side in a rush, breathless, her crimson trench coat fluttering behind her like a banner of panic. Emily's beauty, usually polished and serene, now appeared fractured by fear. Her honey-blonde hair had loosened from its stylish waves, and her hands trembled as she gathered Lily into her arms. "Who touched you? Who touched your bear?" she asked, her voice thin and sharp with terror. Emily softened only when Lily pressed her face into her coat. "Mommy, he said he was helping," Lily whimpered. Emily froze, the color draining from her cheeks. Her grip tightened protectively around her daughter. Mark had seen that expression before. The look of someone who suddenly recognizes a nightmare returning to life. He rose and signaled to Jake. "Scanner," he said. Officer Jake Miller sprinted over, carrying a handheld detection device. Jake's freckles contrasted sharply against his paling skin. Despite his youthful cheerfulness, moments like these made old ghosts flicker in his eyes. He powered the device on and held it near the teddy bear. A piercing "hip-beep-beep" shattered the air. Parents gasped. Children cried. Every single police dog barked sharply, forming an unbreakable wall around the mother and daughter. Even Rex, usually the calmest, let out a snarl of warning. Mark's chest tightened. Metal signature. Circuitry, Jake muttered. This isn't normal toy hardware. Mark exhaled slowly. Emily, is there anything you didn't tell us? Emily swallowed hard. Tears welled but did not fall. My husband, she whispered. Daniel Parker. He worked as an engineer for a private defense contractor. He discovered something, a breach in a classified project. She shook her head, as if trying to dispel the memories clawing back. A week later, he had an accident. They said it was a car crash, but I never believed it. I've felt eyes on us ever since. Her voice cracked. But I had no proof. Mark's jaw tightened. He knew cases like this, stories buried so deep that truth became dangerous. He turned to the technicians who had just arrived. Among them was technician Samuel Hart, a compact, wiry man in his 40s with olive skin, jet black hair streaked with premature gray, and thick brows that knitted together whenever he focused. Sam was brilliant, though sometimes abrasive. Years in bomb disposal had carved both precision and paranoia into his personality. He approached carefully, slender fingers steady as he donned gloves. Give me the toy, Sam said, voice low, his tone neither gentle nor harsh, merely resolute. Mark handed it over. Sam used a microblade to slice through the seams. Stuffing spilled out in soft tufts, drifting like snowflakes. Then metal glinted beneath. Sam inhaled sharply. A tiny chip, no larger than a coin, was nestled deep within the stuffing. This isn't explosive, he murmured. But it's not harmless. He carefully extracted it with tweezers. The reddish sheen of the circuit board reflected the overhead sun. An antenna wire curled like a thin metallic root. It's a tracking device, military grade, encrypted signal output. Emily staggered, catching herself against Mark's arm. No, they found us. Lily whimpered into her coat. The police dogs responded instantly, 16 of them tightening formation around Lily and Emily, while Rex positioned himself at Emily's legs, breathing heavily, nostrils flaring. Mark's radio crackled with static before dispatch spoke, but he barely heard a word. Something else was happening. Rex froze. His body stiffened, muscles coiling beneath his thick fur. Without warning, he jerked his head toward the distant parking lot. Bolt and Zephyr immediately followed, growling as if seeing a ghost only dogs could perceive. One by one, all 19 police dogs turned their heads in unison. Mark followed their line of sight across the grass, past the picnic tables, over the playground fence, to the long curved driveway of the Maplewood Park parking lot. A black van sat there, engine rumbling softly. Its tinted windows hid whoever was inside. Then, slowly, almost mockingly, it began to move. The van rolled forward, tires crunching over gravel, turning toward the exit as if it had all the time in the world. Mark's heartbeat thundered. "Units! Eyes on the black van!" he shouted. But Rex was already ahead of him, letting out a fierce, earth-deep growl that tore through the park like a warning siren. Something had been set in motion, something far beyond a teddy bear, something that had just begun to move. The black van rolled toward the park exit with a slow, taunting confidence, its tinted windows swallowing sunlight like a predatory creature lurking beneath the trees. Mark's instincts screamed. "Team Alpha, pursue the vehicle! Team Bravo, secure the civilians!" he commanded into his radio, his voice sharp and unwavering despite his racing pulse. Officers sprang into action immediately. 3 of them, each accompanied by a police dog, sprinted toward the winding path that led through the parking lot. Their boots pounded against the ground, echoing through Maplewood Park as the German shepherds surged ahead, their muscles rippling beneath their harnesses. The remaining officers stayed behind, forming a protective perimeter around Emily and little Lily. Rex remained pressed against Emily's legs, breathing hard, eyes fixed on the moving van, as though willing it to stop through sheer force of will. Amid the chaos, children cried, and parents scrambled for safety, guided by officers shouting urgent instructions. Lily clung to her mother, burying her face into the bright red fabric of Emily's trench coat. Emily held her daughter so tightly her knuckles whitened, her polished composure shattered by terror. Suddenly, Thor, a massive 5-year-old police dog with a dark sable coat and broad, imposing frame, yanked at his leash so fiercely that Officer Jake Miller nearly fell forward. Thor was younger than Rex, but known for his fierce drive and uncanny scent detection. His personality was bold, sometimes impulsive, shaped by the trauma of losing his original handler during a warehouse raid years earlier. Since then, Thor had developed a deep, unbreakable loyalty to anyone he viewed as innocent. Now he dragged Jake toward the children's play area. "What is it, boy? Easy, easy," Jake shouted, struggling to keep up. But Thor was unstoppable. He bounded past the carousel, past the sandbox, and straight toward the wooden play structure, specifically the ball pit and tube slides that formed the playground's busiest corner. A handful of remaining families had not yet evacuated, and their startled expressions turned to panic as Thor's growls reverberated through the wooden beams. "Clear the area!" Jake yelled. "Move back now!" Parents snatched their children away as Thor dug his paws against the platform's edge, sniffing aggressively at the slatted floorboards beneath the ball pit. Jake fumbled for his handheld scanner. When he passed it near the floor, the device shrieked, a piercing digital wail that made every officer within earshot jolt. "Mark!" Jake shouted through the radio. "We've got something!" The other officers rushed to help. One of them was Officer Karen Holt, a woman in her early 40s with short auburn hair and sharp blue eyes. Karen wore her uniform with stern confidence, shaped by years of balancing law enforcement with raising 2 teenage sons. She was known for her calm under pressure and firm sense of duty. She knelt beside Jake, pointing her flashlight beneath the floorboards. "There's a bag," she said grimly. "A maintenance kit. But it's not supposed to be here." Sam Hart, the bomb technician introduced earlier, arrived next, crouching low with a hiss of annoyance. Sweat already lined his brow from the tension of the unfolding situation. "Step back," he ordered, unzipping his kit and pulling out precision tools. He slid a slender mirror under the wooden platform. His face stiffened. Timer device. Modified housing. Homemade explosive materials. Someone disguised this as repair tools. Thor snarled, confirming the danger. "We need to disarm it," Karen said. Sam glared at her sharply. "You think I don't know that?" In truth, his anger wasn't directed at Karen. It was fear, sharpened by years of bomb work that had robbed him of sleep and friends. Mark sprinted to their side, breathing hard. "Status?" "Not good," Sam muttered. "Timer's active. Remote ignition possible, and it's wedged tight. Moving it risks detonation. Mark clenched his jaw. We'll evacuate the entire park if we have to. There's no time, Sam snapped. This is already past safe threshold. Someone planted it to go off soon. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of Maplewood Park, Team Alpha tore through the wooded jogging path in hot pursuit of the black van. Officer David Mason, a barrel-chested man with a rugged beard and deep-set hazel eyes, led the chase. Mason was in his early 40s, toughened by years of working violent crime in Detroit, before moving to this quieter city to protect his family from the stress and danger of his former life. His personality was stoic, but beneath that hardened exterior was a man who had seen too much tragedy to ever take threats lightly. 2 police dogs ran beside him. Arrow, a nimble 3-year-old with a narrow muzzle and incredible speed, and Shadow, a dark-coated German shepherd built lean for tracking. Their paws tore into the dirt path as they gained on the fleeing vehicle. The van suddenly jerked onto the grass, speeding toward the central fountain. Mason yelled into his radio, "Suspect vehicle cutting across the park. Threat level escalating." Back at the playground, Emily crouched with Lily behind the protective ring of police dogs. Lily's tears soaked into the pink fabric of her coat, her tiny hands gripping her teddy bear, now nothing more than a hollow shell after its dark secret was revealed. Emily whispered shaky reassurances, but her own fear quivered beneath every word. Rex, standing rigid before them, alternated between watching the bomb technicians and monitoring the approaching officers. His amber eyes burned with fierce determination. He understood. Danger was closing in from multiple directions. The ticking bomb beneath the playground kept counting down. Each beep accelerated the pounding in every officer's chest. "Sam," Mark said, urgently, "what's our window?" Sam wiped sweat from his brow. "Less than a minute." Before Mark could speak again, his radio crackled. "Mark, this is Mason. The van just dumped something in the lake. We don't know what, could be secondary device." Mark felt his blood run cold. 2 threats. 1 countdown. 1 decision. Sam looked up, panic flashing in his usually unreadable eyes. "Mark, tell me now. Do I cut the wires or try to extract it?" Rex barked fiercely at the lake's direction, as if he already knew the wrong choice could doom them all. Time was out. Mark had to choose. The world shrank to the ticking beneath the playground. Each beep echoed like a hammer against Mark's ribs, every pulse of sound stretching the moment into something unbearable. Sam Hart crouched beneath the wooden platform, sweat streaking down his temples, soaking into the collar of his protective vest. His fingers hovered just inches above the wires. A tangle of red, green, and yellow threaded into the heart of the timer. Rex stood above him, hackles raised, breath quick and heavy, his amber eyes locked on Sam's trembling hands. Every time Sam's gloved fingertips drifted toward the wrong wire, Rex let out a sharp, guttural bark that snapped Sam back from a potentially fatal mistake. Officers Karen and Jake knelt nearby, watching the seconds drop on a small digital screen strapped to Sam's chest. Emily held Lily behind the tight formation of remaining police dogs. Lily's pastel pink coat quivered with her breaths, her small fingers tangled in the fur of her empty teddy bear shell. Emily wrapped both arms around her daughter, her crimson trench coat pooling like a shield around the little girl's shoes. Her pale face was streaked with the remnants of tears, her honey-blonde hair disheveled by fear and wind. "Sam," Mark said, his voice steady but low. 30 seconds. "I know," Sam snapped. though not with anger, more like a man fighting to keep his mind above the rising waterline of panic. Then Rex suddenly stopped barking. He froze. His breathing slowed. His eyes softened. Sam swallowed. Okay, boy. That's the one. With a breath he wasn't sure he'd ever release, Sam pinched the chalk-like mechanism and lifted the safety catch. The timer flickered. The beeping faltered. Then, silence. Sam collapsed backward with a gasp. "It's disarmed!" he shouted. Mark exhaled so hard his vision blurred for a moment. Officers cheered, parents cried with relief, and Lily peeked through Emily's arms, eyes wide. But the chaos wasn't over. Across the park, the chase came to a violent halt. The fleeing van, having tried to cut across the grass toward the lake, had hit the strip of tire spikes Mason deployed earlier. The tires burst with a punishing crack, flipping the vehicle sideways near the water's edge. A squad of officers swarmed in, accompanied by 3 charging police dogs, Arrow, Shadow, and Thor. Thor reached the driver first. The suspect, a wiry man in his 40s with thinning black hair, gaunt cheeks, and darting bird-like eyes, attempted to flee. But Thor lunged, knocking him to the ground with controlled force. His powerful jaws clamped onto the man's sleeve, pinning him without drawing blood. The man screamed, but it was useless. Officer Mason and 2 others subdued him, snapping handcuffs around his wrists. The passenger attempted to escape on the other side of the van, but Arrow sprinted after him and launched, hitting him square in the chest and dragging him to the ground until officers caught up. Inside the wrecked van, officers found a laptop, multiple fake passports, and dozens of printed photos. Lily's face staring back from different locations. Monochrome. Surveillance angles. Some taken months apart. Some taken just days ago. The truth solidified. This wasn't random, nor impulsive. It was calculated. Cold. Meant to send a message. And would have succeeded, if not for the noses of 19 German shepherds. The news broke the same evening. By midnight, federal agents arrived, hauling away hard drives and weapon fragments. Investigators confirmed the bomb was intended not to level the park, but to create a public message, a warning from the same shadowy group that had hunted Daniel Parker for uncovering military data corruption. Lily was the perfect unwitting mule. She just never realized what her teddy bear carried until Rex smelled the truth. Weeks later, Maplewood Park looked nothing like the nightmare it had briefly become. Bright banners swayed between lampposts, children's chalk drawings covered the sidewalks, and a crowd gathered beneath the sunny sky for a special community ceremony. A hand-painted sign crafted by local school kids read, "Thank you, K9 heroes." Children held pictures of German shepherds with little blue vests. Vendors brought treats, biscuits baked specially for the police dogs. The 19 K9s rested on the grass like a majestic herd, tongues out, chests rising and falling peacefully. Their harnesses gleamed, police dog printed proudly on each side. Lily, her golden curls bouncing behind her, ran toward Rex with unfiltered joy. Today she wore a fresh pastel pink coat, its fluffy collar framing her face like a little winter halo. She threw her small arms around Rex's neck, burying her face into his fur. Her voice came out as a whisper only he could hear. "You're my hero." Emily watched from a few steps away, her red trench coat bright like a flame in the sunlight. Tears glistened in her eyes, though this time they carried gratitude, not terror. Mark approached, adjusting his uniform, still exhausted from weeks of debriefs, reports, and constant replays of what could have gone wrong. Emily touched his arm gently. "You didn't just save us," she said, her voice breaking with emotion. "You and your dogs. You gave Lily back the childhood she was losing." Mark swallowed against the swell in his chest. "Rex did the real work," he said. His voice was quiet, humbled. Rex nudged Lily gently, then looked up at Mark, tail wagging with quiet pride. As the ceremony wound down, the sun dipped low, painting Maplewood Park in warm gold. Children's laughter filled the air again, hopeful, innocent, alive. Mark crouched beside Rex, stroking the sturdy back of his partner. "Heroes don't always wear badges," he murmured. "Some of them walk on 4 legs, with a simple harness that says, 'Police Dog.'" Rex pressed his head into Mark's palm as if agreeing. Peace had finally returned, and this time it felt like it would last. Sometimes, miracles don't arrive with blinding light or heavenly trumpets. Sometimes, they come quietly, on 4 legs, with brave hearts and simple harnesses that read, "Police Dog." And in that moment, when 19 loyal German shepherds stood between a fragile child and the darkness that hunted her, it felt as if something greater was guiding them. A protection no training could fully explain. A whisper of grace. A reminder that even in our most ordinary days, whether in a park, at work, or at home, God can send help in the most unexpected forms. Maybe it's a loyal dog. Maybe it's a stranger who steps in at the right moment. Maybe it's a quiet tug in your spirit telling you to look again, to listen carefully, to protect someone who needs you. This story is not just about danger avoided. It's about the unseen hands that guide us, the moments of divine intervention we only understand after the storm has passed. So if you're watching this today, I hope you carry one message with you. No matter how dark the world feels, God still places protectors around us, sometimes in uniform, sometimes with wagging tails, always with purpose. And before you go, I'd love for you to be part of our little circle of light. Share this story with someone who loves dogs or needs a reminder of hope. Comment below where you're watching from. Your stories lift our hearts. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next miracle, the next rescue, the next moment that proves love is still stronger than fear. May God bless you, protect you, and guide your steps, just as He guided those brave 4-legged angels through Maplewood Park that day.